We are live. This is the very first live training that we'll be doing in the group. I've got to figure out, this is one of the first times I've been using StreamYard, so bear with me for just a sec. I am pulling up where I had this. Let me see if I can present. Will this work? I don't think I can go out of it that way. How's everybody doing? Oh, somebody says, yeah. All right, let me pull this up on Facebook so I can just see what's going on. And then we'll dive in here in just a minute. I'm super excited. I have 64 minutes. And so I'm really excited. We're going to dive in. I'm trying to figure out how I can actually pull this up. It usually doesn't go as difficult as it's going. But hey, such is life. We're going to get rocking and rolling as I'm figuring out how to do StreamYard. Here we go. Chris Johnson. Chris, what's going on? I am really excited. I am super happy for everyone who's in the group. If you catch this live, will you comment live at any point if you come in live? If you catch us on the replay, please comment replay. Why we do that is it allows other people in the group to see it. Just tapping into the Facebook algorithm, that tells other people, it tells Facebook to push it into other people's feeds. So that would be incredible. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have to figure out here how to download this. Let me see if I can download this again. We'll pull it up. We're going to get rocking and rolling. If you're here, hopefully that means that you run webinars, you have thought about running webinars, you want to make more sales with what you're doing, or you want to attract more clients and customers, and ultimately you want to make more impact, then you are in the right place. I'm just going to see if this is actually... I think it's working. Oh man, this is gonna be crazy. I don't think you can see it. Tiara, hey, how are you? We've got Brandon is on here. Chris is on live. Tiara is on here live. All right, guys. I'm probably gonna have to come back and forth between the chat. I really thought I could do this smoother. It's looking like it might be a little painful, but hey, such is life. Gonna do this. So here's what we're gonna go through. We're gonna dive into how to 5x your sales with webinars. These are our webinar secrets that have taken us from 50K in our very first 6 months to 700K in just over 2 years. We don't say that to, I don't say that to boast or to brag, but to show you what's possible and how really mastering this tool of webinars has changed the business for Alex and I significantly, to the point that we're able to live from anywhere and do the things that we want to do. I want to just double check here real quick. I want to make sure that you are in the right place. If you're in the Facebook group, this should be the right place for you. But I want to go through this real quick. This training is going to be perfect for you if you run a coaching business, if you have a consulting business, if you run a client-based business, meaning you rely on getting clients or keeping clients, or if you are a course creator, you are someone who has an online course, could be an in-person course, could be a seminar. Any of those would apply. If that's you, you're in the right place. If that's not you, you are more than welcome to stick around. Just know that this will probably not be the perfect training for you, and it may not be the right thing for you. And Alex and I are huge believers that you should learn the right thing at the right time. It's great to know things that are going to be helpful in the future. But again, if this is not you, this may not be super relevant for you. You're welcome to stay. If you are one of these people, if you run a coaching business, consulting business, your business is based on getting in and keeping clients, or you have a course, this is going to be perfect for you. Cool. So I just want to real quick explain who we are. I know you're here to learn and to take notes. I hope you brought a pen. I hope you brought paper. We're going to dive into the exact strategies and tactics that we use. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to give you everything that I've got here in an hour. Like most things that are really valuable and worthwhile, I can only get so much done in an hour. So if that's okay with you, what I'm going to do by the end of this is I'm actually going to have an opportunity for you to continue to learn more, if that's okay with you. Let me know if that's okay. I'm just going to give you a way to continue to learn more. If you're okay with that, just let me know. I'm really excited. I want you to get as much as you can. The honest answer is I can only teach so much in an hour. I actually have a soccer game that I have to get to, or football game, depending on where you're at. Here at 6:30 Eastern, it's 5 o'clock. So I've got an hour and then I've got to run. This is my business partner, Alex, and I on the left. I am the bald one. I don't usually wear a hat. I don't wear a hat because I'm bald. I wear a hat because it has been summer and I keep my shiny dome from excessive sun. And We are goofballs. As you can see in the caption, we're sitting there in Jamaica, probably wondering when the breakfast bar opens. Alex is like, I don't know, hopefully soon so we can get there, but we're no BS. We don't really beat around the bush. We have been running our business called Healthy Funnel on the back of two things. Our entire business runs on the back of two things. It runs on a Facebook group and it runs off of webinars. We have other things, but the two core things that we have in our business are Facebook group and webinars. By the end of 2020, by January 2021, we predict and we plan to have crossed the 7-figure mark in our business in just the first 2.5, so 30 months of our business, which we're super proud of. We've had 3 programs on pace for 5 to hit 100K in the last 2 years through just webinars. And our students and clients have done over 300K in webinars in 2020 alone. So we know what we're talking about. We know how we do this. Again, this isn't why you came here. You didn't come to learn about Alex and I. I just want you to know that what we're going to teach works. So if you're okay with it, here's what we're going to do today. Is it okay if I teach you guys this? In the next hour, I want to walk you through these critical things, these 3 critical things. So we're going to go through the perfect webinar flow to take someone from curious to getting their wallet out and ready to just hand over money. And then we're going to go through the 3 biggest mistakes that we see clients make when they come to us with broken webinars. And I want you to keep an eye out if you make one of these mistakes, or if you haven't run a webinar yet, to make note of these so you know to not do these when you do your first actual webinar. And then we're going to go through the sneaky transition secret that we use to keep over 75% of attendees on the live while we give the offer or the pitch, right? And this is really critical. I want to just take a second for anyone who is curious. Well, what's the difference between a presentation and a webinar? Many of you in the online world, you know what webinars are. I think there's still a misconception though. A webinar is a sales event. It is actually meant to help you sell or pitch something. If you're not selling or pitching something, it's not technically a webinar. It is what we would call a presentation. And a presentation is incredible. A presentation is great. Just know that there are 2 very different purposes between a presentation and a webinar. This that I'm walking you through is more of a presentation. I don't have something to sell you. I have something to offer you at the end of this, and we're going to dive into it. But this is not a major sales event. And when you have a webinar, you have to understand that you do have a goal of making an offer. Is that clear? Can we be really clear on that? Is that really clear? Sonia says, hello. Spencer Agnew's on here says, live. Dustin, nah, of course. Okay, cool. Don't worry. If you're on here, I don't have anything to sell you today. I do have an opportunity for you guys to continue to learn more. I don't have anything to sell you today, which is awesome, which I love selling, by the way. So normally I wouldn't even feel bad if we did. But here's what I do. I need your help. I want to offer a gift for you showing up. If you would like this entire slide deck, which is essentially like taking notes for you, the audio recording of this and the actual notes, can you do me a solid favor? Can you just shoot me a reminder message at the end of this presentation, which will be in like 50 minutes-ish? If you can just put a reminder, can you do that for me? If you can just comment yes, or I want this, or reminder, let me know. And that way because what I do is I forget. I know I'm going to go through this and I'm going to forget. And if you want the slide deck, if you want the reminder, if you want the notes and the audio recording, just let me know by just putting in the comments, yes, or I want that, and I will get it to you. That would be huge for me. Cool. All right. Are you ready? Hopefully you're ready. I'm just going to check comments real quick. Let's make sure that we've got everyone ready. I want you to get your pen out. I want you to get your paper out. Yes. Awesome. Thank you for that permission, for the reminder. Awesome. Thank you, Spencer. Thank you, Tiara. That is super helpful. Let's get in. Everybody get your pen, get your paper ready. This can be a game changer. By the way, if you just want to give any type of presentation or online presentation or anything like that, this is going to be super powerful for you and super helpful. Cool. Let me make sure. This is super hard to go between. Awesome. Cool. So let's go through, right? We need to have a flow for our webinars, right? You don't just show up to an event and say, hey, I'm going to wing it. You can. The odds are that it's not going to go as well as you want. So we have to have a flow. So before you even start your webinar, I need you to map out 3 separate portions of your webinar. Those 3 sections are: 1, your intro. We're going to dive into each one of these here in a minute. I'm going to walk you through, but I need you to know that there's a flow to how this goes. This is not some random presentation that I just want to talk about this, I want to talk about this, I want to talk about this. There is an actual flow, and it starts with the time component of the webinar. Can your webinar go longer than an hour? Yes. Could it be shorter? Yes. However, historically, if you can keep these to an hour, you are in a sweet spot. Why is that? People can stick around for an hour usually. They can map it out. And more importantly, people don't want to be there for hours and hours and hours. Now, Alex and I are notorious. We end up taking like 2 hours. We've even had a webinar for 4 hours, which was insane. And honestly, it's a part of the reason why I think at times we haven't had even more success. We haven't honed in this exactly as we would like to. But we have the intro for the first 10 minutes. Then we have the teaching for 35 minutes-ish. And then we have offer and questions for the last 15 minutes. If you've ever run a webinar before and you found yourself teaching forever and your offer being a minute, I would love to know if that's you. If that's ever been you, just comment me. I would love to know if that's ever been you. It's happened to Alex and I. Our very first webinar, I remember we did an intro for like 3 minutes. Hey, it's Alex and I. Hey. We taught for a solid like 2 hours and our offer was 5 minutes. And our sales reflected it. We did not crush it that very first webinar. But now I know how to frame this, how to have a framework, how to have a flow. And this is super psychological in a way, right? An intro is warming people up to the idea of who you are, why they should stick around, why they should listen. Teaching is, hey, you're proof that you know what you're doing and to give people value and for them to see that you really know what you're talking about and you have a process, which is going to be a key word throughout this. And then lastly, we have to have time for an offer and to be able to overcome any type of questions that people might have. So we've got our flow. Remember, you have to know the process you're going to follow before you ever get started. Absolutely critical. So let's dive in. We've got our parts. Let's go through this. We've got our intro. We have 4 key components of our intro that we have to master and we have to get through when we're doing this in the first 10 minutes. And it's critical that we hit every single one of these. There will be other people who tell you there are other things, or maybe you can get rid of one of these. What we have found time and time again is that if you can hit all 4 of these, you have a really good chance of getting people to feel committed to sticking through the training, getting everything out of it that they need, and being ready for your offer, which is why we're here. It is a sales event. It's not an educational presentation. It is a sales event. So for the 4 things that we need, the very first one is promise. Now, I want you to write this down. If you're listening to this in the audio, you can go back and listen to this again, which is why I hope that you remind me at the end so I can get you the audio. The promise. The promise is what someone will come away with by the end of the training. The promise is what someone will come away with by the end of the training. I'm going to do something meta here, and I'm going to go up to the top and show you our promise. Our promise was you will learn the process of how to 5 times your sales with webinars. It's our promise. You will learn how to 5x your sales with webinars. That's our promise to you. By the end of this, you will know the process, right? I'm not going to guarantee that you're going to make 5 times more sales, but it's our 5x process. It's our process for you to 5x your sales with webinars. So that's our process, or that's our promise. Got it? Just shoot me a thumbs up if you got promise. Promise is what your audience can expect to come away with by the end of the training. Number 2 is qualify. We have to qualify people. So qualifying people is letting them know who the training is for and who it is not for. You might think, well, if I did my marketing really well, shouldn't everyone know who it's for and who it's not for by the time they get there? I can't tell you the number of times we've put on a webinar where we do a qualifier at the beginning. This is for this person. And we lay out exactly who it's for. And sometimes we'll even lay out who it's not for. And there's still people who will find themselves on the training and go, well, I was just going to show up. I thought this would be helpful. I don't think this is the best use of my time. And why it's also really important that you do this is, yes, if they stick around, maybe they're not perfect, but they get something out of it and they can learn from you. However, I don't know if you are like me, but I can't stand to have my time wasted. And I hope you don't like to have your time wasted. And so I like to tell people right off the bat, hey, this might be helpful for you down the road. It's probably not helpful for you right now. And if that's the case, you don't need to be here, because I want you to go value your time and I want you to put your time into something that you can use right now to get a massive benefit. So you want to qualify, right? You want to qualify them. And I'm going to do something sort of meta here by the end of this. But you have to be able to qualify people, and you want them to know that they're either in the right place or the wrong place. Number 3 is you want to connect, right? So you actually want to connect with your audience. And how we do this is we want to create at least one slide that talks about who you are and that creates personality for people. So you're watching this. Many people know who Alex and I are, who are in this group. You've come over from our other group, Online Business for Healthcare. Many people are new. And we have to create some sort of connection that we're either funny, we're likable, we're down to earth, you could be that you're logical, that you're serious, but that you are who you are. So Alex and I, we're goofballs, right? Like, we're incredibly smart, we're incredibly intelligent, we run a really great business, but we're also super nerdy, we're goofy, we're silly. Like, we both played sports, but we're kind of tall, gangly guys. Like, we wouldn't be anyone's first pick on a basketball team, but we could definitely surprise you with how we could play. That's who we are. And I want you to know that. I want you to know that I'm a person, that I'm normal, that even though you're here for information, you are here to learn from a person. And ultimately, we're going to buy from someone that we connect with. So one thing that can absolutely kill your chances of making sales is not adding in some piece of connection. On the other hand, you don't want it to be all about connecting with you. You don't want it to be your life story, because people will get lost and they'll realize they're not there for the value, or there's not value that's being given. So that's connect. So far we've gone through, you have to have your promise, you have to qualify people, you have to connect with people. And then lastly, you need to pre-frame them for your offer. We're going to go through here how this works, but you need to be able to pre-frame people for your offer. And I learned this from Taki Moore, who's an incredible business coach. And how he frames this is what I just said to you earlier today, or just earlier in this presentation. And it goes something like this. You may want to write this down. It goes something like this. Hey, I am so glad you're here. I just want to be honest with you. I only have an hour, and I'm going to give you everything that I've got in this hour. It's going to be mind-blowing, the amount of information that you're going to get. You're going to realize there's so much quality in this. However, like anything that's worthwhile to learn, it's going to take much more than 1 hour to master. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay out the whole blueprint for you over this next hour. But what I want to do after is I want to give you an opportunity to continue working together, to learn more, and you're probably going to want to learn more. Is it okay if I share that with you by the end of this, if you're still interested? He calls this permission, and it's really pre-framing. I'm giving the opportunity, stating ahead of time, hey, you're going to be blown away by this, but also there's going to be many of you who want to learn more and move forward and take action together or do something together. I want you to know that that's coming. And this is how we break the awkwardness of educating to sales, by telling people in the beginning that something's going to happen. I'm not saying, hey, I'm going to make an offer that costs a lot of money, that it's going to be this expensive, I want to sell you something incredible. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I'm going to give you an opportunity to learn more of how to actually learn more to continue working together, or how to actually implement this together, or how to learn, or you can even just stop at learn more. And that's really critical. If there's one thing you take away from this, it's that one thing you can do is you have to put in your pre-frame. Hey, I can only do so much in the time that we're going to have together. I'm going to teach you everything I know. I'm not going to have the ability to teach you literally everything to the minute detail that you need. So if that's okay, what I'd like to do by the end of it is just give you an opportunity to learn more. Is that okay? And you allow them to say, okay, right? That's what we do. So that's how we say to learn. That's what we do for how we help people pre-frame their offer in their webinar. Which brings me to mistake number one. One of the three biggest mistakes that we see people who run webinars make, that come to us and say, my webinar's not working. And one of the very first things that we notice is they do not set the stage for their offer in the first 10 minutes. Meaning they go straight from, they can do everything right. They can make their promise. They can qualify. They can connect. But then they shift right into teaching, which we're going to go into next. And they don't pre-frame for an offer. And remember, I can't stress this to you enough. A webinar is a sales event. It is meant to help you make sales, not to make people feel like they came away the most educated as possible. However, our goal is, because we're good people, I don't feel good not sending people away, being blown away. I want people to feel one of two things. I either want them to say, wow, that was incredible. I have an actual plan. I learned something new, and I can implement this plan if I really want to, if I'm willing to take the time. I know everything I need to do that. Or number two, wow, I came away, that was amazing. I really need help putting this together. Those are the two things I want. There's no option for me of like, wow, that was a waste of my time. That for me is the worst feeling I can imagine doing on a webinar, training people. So for me, I'm not saying that I don't want people to come away educated. You are going to come away very educated. But my goal here is to find the people who are willing to move forward. So if I don't set them up that an offer is coming by the end of this, I have not done a good job in the sales portion of the webinar. And ultimately, this is an event to make sales. Can't stress that enough. You're probably by the end, it's going to go, well, I get it. It's a sales event. Just know that it's a sales event. This is mistake number one, not setting the stage for your offer in the first 10 minutes. Cool. Are we cool so far? Are we cool so far on the intro? Is it okay if I'm just going to leave this up here for a sec and review? I just want to check. I promise I got it. Sue Doyle. Let's see. Oh, Kara's tagging. I'm not sure if she's in here. Kara, you might have to invite Sue Doyle to the group. Brandon says, promise, I got it. Are we cool? Are we okay with the intro so far, guys? Let me know if we're feeling okay with the intro. You realize there's the promise, the qualifier, connect, and pre-framing for your offer. Let me know if that's clear. If you can just put clear in the comments, let me know if that's clear. We'll move forward. I hope everyone is, my biggest goal out of this whole webinar is that you come away and you're like, I know exactly what I need to do in this process when I'm making my webinar to be able to maximize my opportunities for sales. That's what I'm really hoping for every single person here. Cool. All right. Thank you, guys. Let's go through. We're going to go into teaching, right? This is the part that everyone loves. Everyone loves to teach, mainly because if you are running a webinar, odds are you're a coach, you are a consultant. Oh, no. You're a coach, you are a consultant, you are a course creator, or you are in the business of getting clients, which means that you have a skill that you know what you're doing to get clients or to help your clients. So what we need to do in this teaching part is we're only going to teach 1 to 3 steps in a framework. And I'm going to explain what that means here in a second. But the steps of the framework should be a part of what your offer solves for the audience. I can't stress this enough. Let's say that you, for example, if I wanted to teach you about webinars and I wanted to teach you how to run an effective webinar to 5x your sales, even though I know that how to fill your webinar and how to follow up after your webinar are massively important, I would say equally, if not more important than the actual webinar itself, that filling it with people and then following up with those people are far more important than the effective webinar. The steps of the framework that I'm teaching of how to run an effective webinar itself, those don't match with whatever my offer is going to be. And you're going to see the offer at the end of this is not, hey, do you want to get a blueprint of webinar, right? It's going to be the things that you're going to need. And then what you want to do is you want to teach the audience what to want through explaining your process. So what I mean by that, and again, this comes from a few guys that we've learned from, which would be Sam Ovens, in particular, and Taki Moore, which is teaching your audience what to want through explaining the process that you're laying out. And what does this look like? So I think the best thing for this is to give you an example, right? What does this look like? So Alex and I, we have a program. It's called Cash Flow Campaigns for Coaches, Consultants, and Course Creators. It's really just called Cash Flow Campaigns, but it's perfect for coaches, consultants, and course creators. Here's how our framework goes. So let's say I was going to make an example, or I was going to make a webinar for our program, all about cash flow campaigns. Well, first, I need to define what a campaign is. A campaign is a series of events that leads to a sales event and then a follow-up system to convert all those people at the sales event to maximize the number of sales. That's a campaign. We call that a cash flow campaign. So what I need to teach people is I need to teach them that they want the entire process. I don't need to teach them, what I'm trying to teach them is there is a rock solid process and you want to know how to implement that process. Not, hey, you want to have the best webinar thing ever. No, you want an entire cash flow campaign. A webinar is amazing, right? A webinar is the sales event. However, without the beginning and the after, you just have the middle. We both know, or all of us know, that a story is only as good as the beginning, the middle, and the end. If you only know the middle, you don't have the full story. And so if I'm going to make a webinar about our offer, which is Cash Flow Campaigns, our program, I would say I'm going to break it down into 3 components. 1, pre-sales event campaign for filling the event with rock solid prospects. Number 2, the sales event framework and script for converting the event, converting on the event. And then 3, post-sales event follow-up campaign to maximize sales. What I would do in my webinar is I would literally lay out what are the things that you need to make a pre-sales event campaign for filling the event with rock solid prospects work smoothly. Then I would teach the sales event framework and script for converting at the event. I'm not going to actually teach all the script. I'm going to show that's what they have to have. You're going to want to have all of those things in place to maximize. And then the post-sales event follow-up campaign to maximize sales. Again, same thing. The key thing here, I know it looks like a lot of information. What I want you to know is I'm not actually teaching the individual components of any of these. It would take forever, right? That's why you have a program. If you wanted to teach your entire program in an event like this, that would be the program. The webinar is to teach people what to want. And I don't know how to explain this in a way that's just like, but you have to teach people what to want. And what they're going to want is a process or a system to follow. It's why we all do anything. Well, I want to fix my back pain, or I want more clients, or I want to hit $1 million. Well, really, to get that, you're going to want the process. You're going to want the blueprint. And your job in the webinar is to teach the blueprint, to teach them to want the blueprint, to teach them that there is a process, and that if they follow the process, they can achieve the result, aka the promise in this. Cool. Which brings me to mistake number 2. I think this is absolutely a game changer. And I think if you're on here right now and you know this has been you've done any kind of online presentation before, and you feel like this has happened when you had something to sell and you didn't sell as much as you wanted to, mistake number 2 is too many people overteach. And they overteach to the point that the audience can't see the big picture of how your overall process works. I want to say that again. Mistake number 2 is that people during webinars overteach to the point that the people listening to the webinar lose sight of the big picture of the blueprint. They lose sight of the blueprint. They're looking at we're overteaching to the point that people are getting caught in the minute details of what was that thing? What was this? What was that? What was that? Versus, hey, oh my gosh, I'm coming to the realization that there's an actual blueprint to make this happen. And we're helping people to see that I want to have that blueprint. I want to be able to put into motion that blueprint. And the thing is, with most people, they're going to say, or a lot of people, a percentage of people will say, I want that blueprint. I don't know how to put that together myself. I don't want to go through all the work to do it. I want to find a faster way to make that. I see that I need it. I want a faster way to do that. Does that make sense? If that makes sense, will you just put in the comments, makes sense? Your job is not to teach your program on a webinar. It's not even to teach one section of your program in a webinar. That's a part of your program. But we're not here to teach people the program. We're here to teach people to want your program, because we are ultimately trying to sell your program. Then we get into the psychology of why we should even want people to buy. That goes into a way deeper conversation, and it's super important because money is what helps hold people accountable and stay committed. It's one of the tools, it's one of the strongest tools that we have to help hold people accountable. And if we want people to get the result, they need to be accountable. And if one of the strongest tools we have is money, we should use that tool. And people should be excited to use that tool to hold themselves accountable if they truly want the result. So that's mistake number 2, overteaching to the point that your audience can't see the blueprint that you have, and they should want the blueprint. Right? We're not trying to convince people to sign up for something that doesn't make sense for them. You're laying out in your webinar the blueprint to get the results or the promise that they want, right? So for everyone here, you want to 5x your sales with a webinar. Well, I'm giving you the blueprint. Here's how you actually run a webinar in a way that moves people psychologically to wanting to sign up for your program, right? We've gone through so far up to this point. We've gone through, hey, how do I indoctrinate them in my webinar in the beginning, in the first 10 minutes in the intro? How do I teach them the blueprint and how to want the blueprint, right? There are layers of this that we could have gone into. It's impossible for me to break it all down within 1 hour of how to run a perfect rock solid webinar, right? Some things that I don't have time to dive into this specific training is how do we add social proof or proof beyond every step of the framework, right? So if I were really doing this the way that would be rock solid, would be cool. Let me show you proof of someone who used to overteach And now they teach less and are making even more money on their webinar and getting more people to enroll into their webinars and making even more impact with people because they're getting more people to sign up for their programs. Whenever you can back up a step of your blueprint with proof, that is the ultimate layer for a webinar and a successful webinar to overcome someone's objections. Cool. So let's go through number 3, offer. So then we're going to move into the offer, right? And we're going to go, this is the last 15 minutes. And remember, we pre-frame people that we're going to have an opportunity to learn more together. And so this is an invitation to implement the process that you just outlined for the people who are on the webinar. And I'm just going to give you a little snippet here. You can take this. This seems to be the most challenging thing we find for clients of how do I make the subtle transition from I'm done teaching into my offer. I don't know if that's ever been you, if you've ever been stuck, if you're ever like, oh no, let's just get it over with. How do I do this? Okay, I'm nervous. And you jump right to it and you skip without creating a transition. I've been there. It's brutal, right? You're just like, okay, I got to get this over with. I have these slides. I know I need to sell something. Oh man, it was a painful journey to get to a place where I feel like I'm able to make transitions quite smoothly for people when it comes to presenting an offer to them. So I want to give you a little just tip. This isn't the only way to do this. This is just my way of doing this. You're more than welcome to find something else that works. We have different tactics that we do or ways that we can say this, but here's the way that I do this. I say, okay, that was a lot of information. I know that some of you might be wondering, how can I knock all that out? Or, hey, that seems like a lot of work. Is there a faster way to get this done? And honestly, that's where we come in. And I don't know if you remember in the beginning, but I said I'd have an option to learn more. Well, here it is. I want to show you a way that you can learn more and how to do this in a much faster way than what I laid out, or are you trying to do this on your own? And then you're going to present your offer, and you're going to have one call to action. Huge thing we see here. I can't stress this enough. Have one call to action. That's either to a link for someone to go do something or to book a call with you or to whatever it is that you want them to do. Just one call to action. Please, one call to action. And then you're going to open up for Q&A and you're going to add urgency to your offer. And this is something that we could spend an entire hour, we could spend a whole day on. How do you add urgency into your offer? But what you're going to do is you're going to open up for Q&A. Hey, do you have any questions? You're not going to run away. You're not going to show the link and then leave. You're not going to run. People are naturally going to have questions, and you're going to sit there and you're going to say, hey, are there any questions that I can help answer for you? And if there aren't questions, it's okay. You sit there and you talk about the offer. You could even pull up the program, what it looks like on the inside. You can show people things, right? You can talk about success stories and all those kinds of things. And then your urgency offer. How you add urgency in would be 2 different types of ways. You can either take something away or you can add something in. Take something away, one of the easiest things is price. So if you're selling something, hey, if you sign up in the next 20 minutes before I close this webinar, I'm going to be on till 6 p.m. Eastern, and then I'll shut it down. If you buy in the next 20 minutes, I'll take $100 off of the program. So instead of $9.97, it'll only be $8.97 for the first 10 people who buy in the next 20 minutes. So it's taking away something to add urgency. I only have 20 minutes to jump on that, right? Or you can add something in. Hey, for anyone who buys my program, who buys the program or signs up here in the next 24 hours, 20 minutes, whatever you want it to be, I will also send you a lead magnet that I have, or I will go on a 20-minute phone call strategy session with you individually. And that's what we call urgency, that there's an incentive to do something faster. And it's not a sales tactic in the sense of, hey, I'm trying to get something out of you. It is, hey, you wouldn't be here if you weren't struggling with something. And you certainly wouldn't be staying to the end if you weren't needing help with something. And I'm here and I want to make sure that you're able to take action. People who act faster and take action faster tend to be much more successful in any program that you have. I firmly believe that. Those who take action faster tend to have far more success because they're committed, they know what they want, and they move. So that's what you're going to do in your offer. And this leads me to mistake number 3 I see with people running webinars, especially our clients that come to us who are not clients yet. And they say, hey, I've been running a webinar. It's not going well. And we go look, and there's no urgency to make a decision on the part of the audience during the webinar. Look, if you look at this in a webinar, we just laid people up psychologically. We teed them up psychologically to have the realization that there is a process, a blueprint to follow. And they have two choices. They have three choices. Do nothing, choice number one, which is a reality. Choice number two is go do it on their own. Try to take the blueprint and do everything on their own. And they may even get there. It just might be slow. Or they can work with you, and we're going to give them incentive to choose to work with you to get there faster and to do it now. And when you give that opportunity for people to work faster, to get the result faster by working with you, people want to take you up on that opportunity because people want the result. If they're in the right place, if they're the right person, we've qualified them, they're there for the offer that you have, mainly because the promise brought them in. Hey, do you want this promise? You want to 5x your sales? And I promise you, if you're running webinars and you are not doing these things, if you don't have an urgency, if you're not adding an urgency to your offer on the webinar, if you are over teaching and you stop teaching as much and to teach the blueprint and to want the blueprint and not teaching your actual program itself, and if you start setting the stage for your offer in the first 10 minutes, if you're running webinars right now and you're not doing any of those, I firmly believe you can 5 times the amount of sales that you've been making. Firmly believe it. I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen time and time again. I've seen it happen in multiple industries, different niches. When you add these pieces in, it can make a world of a difference in your ability to sell your program, courses, coaching, anything that you're offering to people. Cool. Has this been helpful so far? I should check the chat. Has this been helpful so far? Kara says, so have done that. Brandon says, crystal clear. Tiara says, makes sense. Awesome. Thank you, guys. Hopefully this is making sense so far. I just want to recap. I want to recap here what we've gone over. So let's just review here. We're going to have our intro for 10 minutes. We're going to teach for 35 minutes. Again, here, last thing with teaching is teach them to want the blueprint, not to teach your program. Teach them to see the value of the blueprint, not teaching them your program, right? We have to understand people want to get to a certain place and they want to get there because they're not there yet. Otherwise they wouldn't want it. They'd already be there. And so there's a gap, right? And in the gap, education isn't what's usually lacking in the gap. What's usually lacking is a blueprint and the ability to hold themselves accountable to the blueprint. And so you need to look at and say, hey, you're just not following the right blueprint. Here is the blueprint. You should want this blueprint, which, by the way, that's exactly what my program is. It is the blueprint. So you need to teach them to want the blueprint, not teach them your actual program. Oh, I can't get that across enough. I wish I could hammer that in as well. And then we need to transition to the offer, which would be the last 15 minutes. And again, with the offer, if we go through this, let's go through this here real quick. So with your offer, just real quick, right? We need to invite them to implement the process you outlined for the audience. You need to make a subtle transition. You need to have just one call to action. And you want to open up for Q&A and add urgency into your offer. I can't stress that enough. Cool. All right. So, oh my gosh. Hopefully you guys will remind me. I know I said something here to remind me of something. If you remind me, awesome. I'll be able to send it to you. Whatever. I think it was going to be not a replay, but we'll get it. So, hopefully this has been super helpful, and I think it's probably going to lead a lot of you to wonder, hey, that's really cool. I see the blueprint for running a webinar, or I've been making mistakes, or I can do this well, or like, hey, I could do this. That doesn't solve my problem of like, how do I actually get people to my webinars? I don't know if that's you. If you're like, hey, cool, this is great. Will, like, how do I get people to show up to my webinar? Because I don't want to do a webinar if no one's going to be there. I don't know if you've ever felt that way. I've felt that way a ton. And that's what we want to help you with. And I just want to invite you to this opportunity to learn more, which really, if you're in the group right now and you're watching this, you're in the right place. I just want to make sure you're aware of it. And I'm really, really, really excited to share this with you. So what you need are campaigns, and we call these specific campaigns cash flow campaigns. Cash flow campaigns. Cash flow campaigns are ones that help you fill, deliver, and profit from your sales events. In this case, how to fill your webinar, how to deliver your webinar or challenge, and how to profit from your webinar and challenge with a follow-up campaign system. So I want to invite you to our free 5-day workshop. It's happening Monday, starting Monday, every single day. I have the link here for you, healthyfunnel.com/FB-challenge. If you're watching this in the Facebook group, you're already here. You don't need to go anywhere. If you're catching this on the replay though, and you're watching this and you're like, I need to sign up, know that every day, Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern, we are going to be going in and I want to show you what we're going to be covering. I wonder, hopefully Alex won't beat me up if I show this. I can't show the whole thing here. We have our challenge and here's what we're going to be diving into. Little sneak peek. Day 1, avatar offer and sales message. It's going to be like insane. We're going deep into all this. We're going to have a workbook for you, like everything to fill out. How do you actually fill up your event? So we're going to go over how do you plan your event? What do you need to have in place to plan your next webinar or challenge, right? To do those things. We're going to talk about how do you fill your event? How do you get people to your actual event? How do you fill it up? Because we need prospects. We need our prospects at the event, right? How do you run your event? How do you actually run the webinar, right? So I'm going to be teaching a lot of what we just talked today, but even in more in depth of the actual webinar or challenge event itself. What are the technical things that you need to do? How do you then follow up, right? What are the follow-up steps that you're going to need to do in order to maximize sales during your event, whether that's a webinar, a challenge, anything like that. So if that's you, let me see if I can pull up our cash flow campaigns. If that's you and you want to jump in, please feel free to go over to healthyfunnel.com/FB-challenge, right? And I just want you to know that what I did in this whole thing is how I run is pretty similar to a webinar. The only difference with this presentation is that my offer isn't to sell you something. My offer is to get you to be excited about this challenge. So I hope that you're pumped. If you found today helpful, I would love to know what was the most helpful thing. What was the number one? What was the most helpful thing that you got from this training today? We're going to be doing this, by the way, every single week, even after the challenge. We're going to be choosing a topic, going in and doing a deep dive live training on different topics. But I'd love to know, what's the number one thing that you took away from this? What was your biggest takeaway? And then I'll let you guys get rolling because I know you guys have busy lives. You have things to do. Chris says framework, putting in the framework. I love it, right? You've got to be able to teach people to want your blueprint, to want your framework, not to teach them, not to teach. You can teach them the framework. You aren't going to be able to, just think about it, guys. Everyone wants a webinar where you teach everything. But the reality is, whatever your program is, I would assume is far more in depth than 1 hour of training. And you can't teach all that. And ultimately, why would anyone want to buy the thing that you just literally taught everything about? You've got to teach them to want the framework. You've got to teach them to want the blueprint. Dustin, to help them want the blueprint. Exactly. They're going to you want them to want the blueprint. And when they see that, they have that realization, it makes total sense to go through it, to want to actually see that, hey, I have the realization, I need the blueprint. If I can get the blueprint, I can hold myself accountable to do it, right? And that's where your offer comes in with things like accountability, with structure, with organization, with community, which is really why most people, a lot of people, they either one, aren't following the right blueprint. So they're like, oh, I've been doing some of these things, right? Well, here's the actual blueprint that works. You're going to want the blueprint. Then number 2 is they are going to realize I probably am not going to be able to hold myself accountable to follow this blueprint. So many of us as coaches, consultants, you know what it's like. You know that people, a big part of your job is to hold them accountable, right? To help them stay accountable to this process. So awesome. Great. Thank you guys. By the way, I'll put the link in the comments, even though everyone who's in the group, you're already locked in. I will send you, if you just shoot me in the comment, just say, send me notes or notes, just put in the comments notes. I'll send you the slide deck from today, and I will send you the audio recording of this, and I will send you our guide. I think it's like 8 pages of like our best strategies, client attracting strategies, the ways that we do this that apply to our business that have taken us from where we were to where we're at. So if that's you, just put notes in the comments, whether you're watching live or on the replay, and I will get those to you. I just want to give a shout out. Dustin Hill, thank you so much for tuning in, being here for this. Chris Johnson, thank you for hopping on. Chris is amazing. Chris, we're going to have to interview you in this group at some point. to come in. He's an amazing coach, running coach, one of the best in the world. Actually, it's incredible to have Chris in this group. Kara Welke, thank you for hopping on this live. We had a few other people. We had like 7 or 8. I just can't, the comments are pushing things down, so we can't see. Tiara was on here. Thank you, Tiara, for hopping on. And guys, I'll see you Monday. I hope you're excited for the challenge. If you can make it, even if you can't make it, make sure you sign up, because we're going to be sending out some special bonuses via email. Make sure that you sign up. If you go to healthyfunnel.com/FB-challenge, you'll be able to make sure that you get those goodies. And I can't wait for Monday. It's gonna be insane. We're gonna go through, if you are ready to like get some serious clients, to make sales, to grow your business. Brandon, thanks for hopping on, man. Thank you so much, Brandon. If you're ready to make some serious changes in your business, show up Monday, and I can't wait to see you on the challenge. I'll catch you guys then. Thanks, guys, for your attention, your time. I love you guys. Our whole goal is to make more impact and to impact as many people's lives as we can. Hope you guys have a great evening. I got to go run to soccer. I got a little break, so I'm actually going to go finish early, which is awesome. Hopefully it's good for you. You get more time. I'm going to go sneak in an orange, get a little food in me. I'm going to go to soccer or football, depending on where you're at in the world. I'll catch you guys later.